Welcome back to the interview room. We're about to be hopping into our final best of 7 for the PPL portion. And I'm sure you tuned into that last set. So starting off with Kyle, I want to get your thoughts.
Wait, our set or
their set?
I wasn't really expecting. Navi to probably play as good as they did. It was kind of hard to tell from Vegas, and then them being the world champions and all that. So we weren't sure if they were coming into this tournament from Vegas having a bad land, and then showing up with this one playing really well. So I wasn't really expecting Navi to do as well as they did. But I am excited to play Fnatic due to that set.
So for your last set in Vegas up against Fnatic, the first game went swimmingly well for you guys. You were in control. It felt like you had a dominant. Cuss, you got up, you screamed, "You can't kill me." And then it all just kind of went downhill from there. Do you guys think you learned from that and you're ready to kind of take them on now?
Yeah, actually, I think we should have won that Splitstone game too. I think we should have been up 2-0. I think losing that Splitstone game, especially the way we did, we were in such control. We were up 3-0. Losing that, I think that really crushed us a bit. So if we get into a situation where we start losing, we need to make sure that we try to regain that momentum as quick as possible and not let it spiral out of control.
The Pip pick has trickled into many other teams and was a key factor during that last set, actually. So, Cuss, do you think there's going to be some fighting over that in the draft?
I actually think Fnatic and us both draft pretty similarly, and I think there's going to be a lot of contested picks. And I also think that both teams are going to be comfortable with what we get. I don't think anybody's going to be out of their comfort zone. Tenor played really well on the Pip, but I can do better on the Pip, so we're going to look for it.
I mean, after that long set that just happened, you guys had a little bit of downtime. Are you kind of worried about coming into this one cold, or do you think you're going to be able to start out confidently?
No, I mean, I'm loving it here at Skillshot. It's amazing. There's so many practice rooms. We were able to keep warmed up, and everything is awesome.
All the beverages stacked in the fridge. You got the nice seating to watch the game. Now, I know that we got to see Sky come out earlier, and you had alluded to some just surprise picks that'll come through. And I'm not going to ask you to reveal them or anything, but I wanted to get your perspective on the fact that Fnatic is so consistent as a team. Do you think they can get thrown off by something that might be crazy?
Personally, yeah. I mean, not really. I feel like now we're playing with two of the best gladiators, right? Fnatic in the past, you haven't really been able to take them off guard. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. You also don't see a lot of Sky play too. And we also haven't played Fnatic a lot. So there's a lot of questions you could ask, but no, I think this is going to be just who plays the best, honestly.
You can wink if Willow is somewhere in the equation somewhere. Probably not going to be seen here, but I mean, with the way things have been going, you guys had a pretty solid set earlier. Things are looking really solid, and Fnatic at this point are going to be warmed up. Do you have any real final thoughts about going up against them? Anything that you might say to them?
I'm just looking to have a good set with them. Hopefully we can do well for the fans and everything. But I think we're gonna do pretty well.
It's time to go fishing.
Yeah.
So just last question. You're not unaccustomed to being the NA representatives within this portion of Atlanta. How you feeling?
We're just gonna go as hard as we can, and if we come out with a win, great. If not, back to Masters Land.
All right. Well, we're ready to see you in game. So take a break.
Well, hopefully it's a lucky break here as G2 now face off against a very warm and very competitive-looking Fnatic. Starting out the day, I mean, what are your thoughts, man, just after that set?
It's tough. I think mostly just to evaluate how both these teams have played because the matchups were so vastly different. You know, we've seen Fnatic and Navi go the distance many times before where we see these just abrupt changes in play styles where we started Fnatic off with this very passive mindset, which seemed very weird in map 1. Map 2, they come out, and it's incredible. Map 3 and 4 seem kind of both teams are playing their games, and it finishes off as the way it did. So as you look at where the way Fnatic is playing versus going into where G2 currently was standing versus Envy, I mean, I said it when we were on cast with Nick, was G2 looked a lot more fully functional. There were a couple of moments where there were cogs in the works that just did not seem to be functioning as highly on Fnatic's side, but that being said, there were definitely more moments of brilliance, I think, from Fnatic than there were from G2. It's kind of who shows up and what maps they play.
It certainly is, and it's kind of like, you can't really paint a masterpiece unless you give yourself the canvas to do so. It's kind of like the Sistine Chapel can't get made unless Michelangelo's like, all right, guess I'm about to paint this whole ceiling.
Yeah, right.
I guess I'm about to do this whole thing. Not just, okay, the whole ceiling. So I think at that point, Fnatic did give themselves a lot of win conditions there with the Pip, with the Shaolin, with the Kinessa. It was an odd pick. I mean, the Barrack was almost like, I'll do it, but you guys better. Yeah. It's like I'm going in, and I'm hoping that when I get into the enemy territory, you guys can bail me out. And it did work out. And I guess moving into G2, saying they worked like more of a controlled unit, a unit that was, I guess, more cohesive, put together in terms of how they were building and functioning. Do you expect to see strong drafts, strong elements of that continue into this set with Fnatic?
I think so. When you take a look at the way G2 was drafting up against Envy, there was clear things that they wanted to do when it came to, all right, they're going to pick the Drogos, or we're going to ban things away so we can play the Drogos. Yeah. I think that mindset's going to continue, but we're going to see that conversation open up to not just the Drogos. I think you're going to start seeing that with the front line. I think you're going to start seeing with the support. G2, I mean, you think back to Valencia when they were playing, they were the quickest at adapting to that Chinese play style.
Right.
I think you're going to see something similar here as they're taking a look at Fnatic's aggressive play style and how they can find their own kind of coordinated effort to counter that.
And I can see why the Kinessa was banned so much because, I mean, the second Bugsy gets it, it's so lethal. It just plays these moments in a different way. And looking at that, I did see G2, and we noticed this, banning out Rock Monkey. Who do you ban on Fnatic, though? I mean, there's almost too many to do so.
You're not wrong. Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, when you look at where the potential opening is, I think it's possibly trying to target and put that target on Thiel's head, especially when he's playing solo front.
Right.
If you can keep him off the point, off the payload, your rate of success is going to be so much more high. And it just, at the end of the day, comes down to, can you find the proper moments to get rid of somebody who is getting overextensive? We saw a number of times where the aggressive Pip got a little bit too aggressive. Yeah. Can you punish on those moments, or will you let Fnatic make those aggressive plays, and the rest of the team will surely follow up once they realize where they're actually at as a full squad?
I thought this matchup was so big for Fnatic to actually win that. And those are the ones they commented on. I actually saw Jared in the bathroom, and I said, I'm going to use this moment as a bit of analysis. He's like, wow, when I'm going to the bathroom? I said, no, we're going to talk before. But he said, that's the hardest set to lose. The one where you go so close, it's 4-3, and it's the little things that you can look at. It's not a 4-0, oh, bad draft, oh, they got us this day, we'll get them next time. It's those things where you're like, man, inches defined us. G2 had much more of a cleaner run through their semifinals. They looked very, very good, and honestly stronger than I've seen them in quite a while. It does bring up DreamHack Valencia kind of styles. They had the Sky as a pocket pick. Is that the extent of what they brought here?
I mean, I think that is just a true test of how comfortable they are right now, that they feel like they can get away with, all right, we're up. Let's pull out something crazy. You think back to when they did it in the fall, and that was when the last time Terminus was so relevant as we see him now today is, yeah, you know what? Besides Tyra, Sky is probably the best damage dealer at dealing with big frontliners. So why not give it a go and see if it's something we can develop over the next couple of hours or potentially a couple of days as they look forward. But in this immediate, I think that, when you look at picks like that, you're not going to see nearly as much of it because of Fnatic's play style. They like to get aggressive. They like to run solo front, and that will never really merit something crazy like a Sky to come out again. But
in Europe, we noticed a lot of these bans really going Makoa Ruckus. It was almost standard. You guarantee a Makoa Ruckus. And in North America, bans were much more flexible, and they were targeted. And they were Maeve, they were Androxus, they were sometimes Cassie Androxus a lot of the time for G2 Esports, and able to flex around that. Sometimes not even any front lines except Inara were banned. So the question is, does that help Fnatic or does that hurt Fnatic in this situation?
Man, it's so situational. I mean, we could sit here and spin that topic a million different ways, picking it inside and out, and I'm sure by the end of the weekend we'll feel like we have. The fact of the matter, it comes down to, on the situation in hand, when it's the map that you're picking or not picking, and you're seeing as the draft develops is, can you make that call in draft to do something either unexpected or something that does give you a slight advantage?
Well, let me actually give you more of a specific situation now. Say the Ruckus is kept in. Maybe you have a Makoa that's not banned. Maybe Phil's running his front line, but he never had to play against a Ruckus and a Terminus, a Ruckus and something else, that kind of DPS. In that situation, do you think Fnatic's more in trouble than when it's constantly those two game-changing front lines are banned out?
I think so. I flat out, I think when you see situations where you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable spot up front specifically, there's a lot that could go wrong very quickly. You lose one of your damage dealers when you have 3 DPS, it's like, okay, we lost a little bit of our damage output. But when you lose one of your frontliners that's trying to hold a point or push a payload, you feel that effect across the entire team very, very quickly. I mean, especially when it comes to, I think, the flexibility to not only see players go from champion to champion or role to role, but I think it's when it composition of when you run double front, when you run solo front, when do you decide to make those calls, when we decide to get aggressive or not. Those calls, I think, are more important maybe than potentially the in-game calls when things are kind of going crazy.
All right, well, game one. G2 Esports come out swinging. True or false? What do you think about that?
True.
Heading into Fnatic? Yep.
Absolutely true. I think that if G2 starts to play Fnatic's game, this set goes by very quickly in favor of Fnatic. When G2 comes out and they start swinging, and they're going to say, we're playing North American Paladins, and EU's going to have to figure out how to play up against it, I think that's when they start putting themselves in a comparable spot. The thing that I worry about the most with G2 is the fact that Fnatic has been playing this style of Paladins for a very, very long time, and G2 has had success against it, but it's been against North American teams who are new, young, not in the PPL yet. You're dealing with a very experienced roster here with Fnatic, and this is actually a good testing spot. Serpent Beach, first map up. It's about as old school as it gets with the new school comp.
It certainly is. And, you know, Serpent Beach is a map that G2 Esports actually won when they played it earlier. They had the Mave for iDrop Bodies there. We've even seen the Mave first picked in many sets. I think actually in both of these sets with Envy first picking it. And then I think we saw Fnatic first pick the Mave one or twice against Na'Vi. And now I'm wondering how much does she start to weigh into the conversation. G2 Esports, I think, are flexible enough to play it. Is it as good as maybe a Bugsy Mave on his best day? That's where you're really going to have their start. Cutting, you know, where's my plus minus here?
Exactly.
And what's the worth?
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you, and I think we're about to get our answers here as we jump into draft. And you know, the other interesting thing that you had mentioned previously in your Twitter post when you guys were storyboarding was Leanne's got an 80% win rate, and we have not seen her once. And to be honest, she actually does a very good job of dealing with Maeve because of her ability to just, if you don't hit the left clicks, you still have your Valor, you still have your Grace that gets those auto-aim onto her, which keeps her pursuit limited. So will that play style come out? I think it's going to be interesting to see how that Maeve gets prioritized and how the counters start to fall through.
To me, it's bans. You know, G2 have a chance, despite, you know, winning their set earlier. They have an advantage, although not playing right before this set began, to watch. They saw exactly what Fnatic did. They know exactly what they're expecting. And they are falling back into the Na'Vi, you know, kind of Fnatic vacuum, which really that's best of 7 was. Those two teams know each other so well. They're playing a little differently. G2 so far not shaking too much up and banning the Makoa.
It's interesting from here to see what kind of, I think when you see these last bans, you're going to start to get kind of a nod towards what kind of play style we want to play up against. And that's what I was going to wonder is, do the sniper bans come out potentially for either side, not just specifically one over the other? The Kinessa getting taken away for Fnatic really kind of shows me that they want to play the high ground and they want to have the flexibility of moving and maneuvering, because even if you have the Kinessa on your team, it's telling G2 that we're going to really base our whole system of movements based around what our Kinessa sees and what she's able to pick up.
And the fact that they've been so confident with either Fisheko or Isbitner picking the pip, they can easily transition into a lot of first picks here with value. The buck gets taken off, and this is something that in Vegas, Fnatic prioritized a ton. It was banned alongside the Mave very often, and now it's going to be banned by G2. Wardoom actually a little bit more concerned with where his backpack goes at this moment, and that's understandable.
You got to have all your things in the right place.
Backpacks over championships, guys. We know that's the way it goes. Fnatic with the first pick for the Mave, so it is as a lot expect. Very, very high priority on this map.
And I think this will really be interesting to see how G2 decides to draft, specifically their front line. When it comes down to it, you would think that Inara would be a priority because of her damage reduction, you know, able to at least counter out that very bursty Mave play style that we have seen kind of come into fruition lately. But beyond that, the Cassie's still available. And the Sha Lin. And the Sha Lin. So there's a lot of top priority picks, I would say, just as you look at the viability charts for G2.
I think the thing is Ruckus is not available for Doseps, which he flexed onto a lot in his set versus Envy. It was open quite often, and he started to find some rhythm. Doseps a very good offensive player and a very good mind when he's on the go, and I think that Inara's, when he gets stuck with playing Inara, it's a little bit lackluster for me. But notably, Wardoom on the Fernando, one of the best we've seen and one of the best we will see. So that's still awesome, available, and Fnatic most likely with the Inara here for Theo.
Yeah, I like it a lot. This is a really strong setup for Fnatic. They've got their chase potential with Mave. They got their big burst potential with Drogos. And, of course, you have your sustained frontliner on the point. The big question here for G2, and, again, this has happened before. Mave is up. Drogos is up. and Droxus does well against both of them, especially if I drop bodies as hot as he is.
Yeah.
My goodness, that could potentially be a star-studded pickup for him.
It's interesting, and I question too, because that Androxus reversal, very much like a Fernando shield, so that Maeve's Pounce is going to go through it. Street Justice might just be something that's a little too potent, so they opt for the Zen. This will most likely be I drop bodies on that. Could be Evil Eye, depends how they go. Bodies could switch on to the Cassie. And in fact, that's probably what we will see as War Doom locks in his Fernando.
It's a lot of trust in the Cassie, though. I mean, when you look at it, you don't have a lot of vertical mobility on the side of G2 right now, and especially the ability to reposition and target to a airborne Maeve or a floating Drogos. That's a lot of trust that Cassie's going to hit those midair shots. It's dangerous. It's putting a lot of eggs into one basket, at least so far. Of course, we don't know. It could very well be a solo Fernando with some other system of help, but it's a tough call right now. Cassie's going to have a lot of work thrown her way in this lineup.
And I think at this point, I don't think G2, when they saw the Nara, Drogas, and Maeve, were worried about a Shaolin coming through, because you look at those lineups, but now you think, man, this could be a Bugsy Drogos, this could be a Fasheko Drogos, this could be a Bugsy Maeve, this could be a Bugsy Shaolin even, and, if you want to do it that way. So this is quite a lot for G2 to take in. Will they go double tank, or will they keep it with a single front line?
Man, it's just such a tough decision, because if you go with another damage dealer, then you're dealing with a solo Genos as well, which, against the Maldamba, those numbers aren't going to be exactly even by the end, I would anticipate.
No.
But can you really pull a Pip here? I mean, who is Pip going to shoot at besides Inara, who's going to soak up all that damage pretty much for free? It's a tough choice. Maybe, if you're feeling frisky, the Grover could potentially come into play.
Oh, there you go. And it is the Grover. The range, the line of sight, the healing with Efflorescence going to provide more than it used to since that build has been, kind of jumped into prominence here. But, man, there's a lot of damage on the table from Fnatic. Yeah. I say G2 look maybe the lesser here in this draft, especially when looking at how Fnatic has been piloting these Drogos, these Shaolins, these Maeves.
And I think it's, again, a lot of pressure on not only Cassie, but now Grover, who they pulled out in Vegas. It didn't really go their way then. This is, I think, a really good test for G2. I think if this does not go their way, I don't know if we're going to be seeing too much more of just the Grover play coming in, because this is, I think, a really good estimation as far as how effective the Grover is going to be in this situation.
Notably, though, single front line on both sides. They're playing each other's ball game. Let's see what happens as we head into game one. Casters, take it away.
It is single front line for both of these teams. I'm stoked to see it in action. You got the Grover and the Genos on one side with lots of DPS on the other.
They're going to have a lot of work to go through, because that Maeve is going to be eating through that Fernando shield. She's going to be eating through anybody if she happens to run around. This is going to be a great map for her.
Well, everyone that's just tuning in, this is the PPL Finals. We have Fnatic facing off against G2, NA versus EU, the age-old tale. And it's a best-of-7 series. And the last series went all the way.
And this one, both of the teams, obviously, Fnatic was saying they would love it if it was just 4 games, although I don't think they were very confident that it was going to end that quickly. And G2 seemed kind of cool and collected about it. They didn't seem like they were too ready for a 4-0, but they expected not quite to hit 7.
Yeah, during that pregame interview when we were talking to G2, I feel like they used their off time of not play very effectively, kind of regaining energy, sniping with their eyes onto the enemy and seeing exactly how that set went, knowing that they're prepared for both options.
And being able to go up against Fnatic, which the last time they went up against them, I think that's when things really went downhill during Vegas, is that first game they had control, and even Cuss had said it during Splitstone, they should have had control. They had it at 3-0 and then ended up losing it, just complete sweep back from Fnatic. So this time, they're maybe holding themselves to a higher standard, hoping to at least get 2 of those maps. And if they can start it out strong and ride that momentum, that's what they're strong for.
And if any team can channel the rage of a past defeat into a future victory, that's going to be G2. And the fact that when they started game 1 of that set so strong and then faltering there in game 2, I do believe that having that second victory in a best-of-7, while it's not enough to actually win the set, can be enough to snowball.
And this is where things get really interesting, specifically for this first map, just because with the way the Jas went, again, Fnatic have a lot of very high priority DPS picks that are very good, and that their players have shown just today that they can play it incredibly well. And now you're looking at G2, where it's like, well, you've got the theme of a really strong team, but Fnatic has answers to some of those. Can you make up for those deficits? Can you kind of bolster yourselves throughout this with either items, just with your teamwork, work to make it so that you feel more solid as a unit?
Yeah, between Bittner, Fisheko, Bugsy, all a very strong lineup. If you're trying to focus on that DPS, you can always rely on Theo and Jera as well from that support and frontline perspective. And Cuss had also said in the interview that he believes Fnatic and G2 have similarities in the way that they draft. So that means you're going to have to be extra meticulous in those early portions of each game.
I've yet to see Fnatic go for the Grover. But
That's
you never
true.
know. It might happen. It might just be the North American thing. But again, the last time it was even said on the desk, Grover didn't quite hit the areas, the marks they wanted it to. There's a lot it can do here, but you kind of have to, I guess, predict either. If you're going for the Drogos, you have to know exactly where you're throwing those axes. You have to be on top of the healing, because I assume, even with Genos, he's not going to go Celestial Touch. He's going to be going Luminary to try and augment all the damage all around.
But when we've seen G2 with the double support option, and even Fnatic during the last set, it's just allowed so much leeway in your approach to the actual healing aspect that you can capitalize upon that damage potential of whoever is navigating those champions.
And with the way things are going, and specifically because they have a Grover and a Genos, I think G2, Cuss is going to be the Grover, so they have someone who's typically fragging out on the Genos, which is something we've seen Fnatic do in the past as well, where they put someone like Bittner onto the Genos, where it's just hit your ults, hit your shots, do whatever damage you can, and you know, just make sure you keep your Astral Mark somewhere, so someone's getting some damage. And in this case, I feel like that might be the deficit they have. That's going to kind of equalize out the draft, the strength Fnatic have versus the Genos being able to buff everybody else to that strength that Fnatic have.
And there's a lot to prove with both of these teams. As a reminder, today is the PPL finals, and then it moves into the Masters portion of the LAN. But both of these undefeated in their regular season of the PPL. They faced off against one another in Vegas, so it's the rematch that I'm sure G2 has been hoping for.
Undefeated in regular season, both defeated at Vegas, and so they're both coming in here with the same kind of chip on their shoulder, same knockdown from the top. I noticed, you know, Fnatic a couple weeks ago during LAN were standing on top of the world, really, really excited, cocky, excited, knowing that they were going to win. Most they had to worry about was Na'Vi. Didn't quite work out that way. And with the way things are going here, especially with an Impulse, Cassie on the other side, and Dosups being the one piloting it, I think there's a lot to worry about.
I've been actually having Cuss Cutie on this pick with the Grover, something that we've seen in the past, and by increasing that Blossom radius by 50%, it's allowed him to have so much more reach with his healing potential. As you can see, the setup of both of these teams. On the sideline, nice hits early on from Bittner, looking for some follow-up.
A little bit of range, taking this at a different approach than we've seen in the past, but going around the side immediately. Same thing goes for Evil Eye, though, coming right into the back line, looking for some kills, but not going to be able to find too much. Actually ends up taking too much damage, has to run away.
Yep, chunked down a little bit low, but luckily that Billow brings him quite far in the end. Theo picking up first blood onto Dosups, really close on the objective, 27% in G2, finally taking a little bit of control, but they're losing some of their key members.
Just being able to pick up Cassie, Xin, the two big hitters on that side. G2 immediately have to fall back, and you can see even Fernando Wardum here trying to do whatever he can, but they don't really have a presence on the point. That's going to be the biggest issue. You can't lose those two. You have to keep them safe, and the fact that Bittner was able to pick up one, but Theo got the other, they're just sitting on the point, 87% clean.
Whew, a bit of a hit to the face for Doe, but he's back in it. 93% for Fnatic. Wardum forces himself back down onto the objective for Cuss Cutie and Dosups to clean it up and leave an opening for them to gain some control of this point.
And that is the strength of Cassie right now, just rolling up. Wardum gets the kill, but a lot of this is on the back of Dosups, someone that I remember when we were looking for Worlds, notably just playing whatever he can, secondary, frontline half the time, but long time ago. And a lot more recently, he has been on this Cassie once again, and with the way things are going, as long as he can stay alive, as long as he's protected, he's going to be able to be the big turner for his team, keeping them alive and well.
Ooh, overtime sets on in. One is down for Fnatic. Doso's picking that up. Evil Eye with some follow-up as well. And still going nice and strong. The whirlwind from Cuss Cutie keeps his team alive. And you see Theo almost down and out. One more smack and he should be done so. Eventually following Dosups with the double kill to go ahead and help bring this in for the team.
99-99, overtime goes down. G2 take the first point. And this is exactly what they love. They ride this momentum. Whether or not you can actually hear them trash talking in the soundproof booths here, it's still going to be just as effective for them in getting them and bolstering them up. And that just seems to be exactly the way they're going. Theo isolated over here, not exactly the position you want to be in, and that's going to actually help G2 get a little bit more push on this payload.
Jeez, every time we see Doe on this Cassie, though, as you mentioned, an age-old tale of his Cassie play, but because of the requirements of the meta in times past, has actually shifted more towards frontline. But when he's allowed to get let loose like this, another kill under his belt, just saying, la, 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 my arrows are hitting, yay, 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 then it's great news for G2.
And that's why it was so important that Thiel picked him up early, like at the beginning, first blood. That was the opener for Fnatic. If they can keep him locked down, that takes out a lot of damage, a lot of the burst G2 have. But as long as he's remaining, and so far as he has been free firing, I mean, he's on an 11 streak. He is not having too much trouble, and he's sitting over here in Cassie's corner, happy as can be, just getting him low. Whether or not he gets the kill doesn't matter as long as someone cleans it up.
And look at Fnatic. So many of them had grouped on that high ground for such a long time, but finally breaking out of it, because that payload's knocking on the front door and it's still over a minute to spare. Kind of that make or break moment where is G2 going to continue with that pressure because you're so close, or Fnatic, can they get a good team fight to back them off as much as possible to try and zone? But what a hit onto Evil Eye.
They do a reset waiting for Evil Eye, but now that he's back, he's trying to get aggressive, trying to figure out where he can go, but ends up actually losing Dosup's overall. Bittner gets taken down in return, but that's a huge amount of burst. Still going for the push. Evil Eye locking him in the base.
Another Whirlwind helped with those that were still around, and Evil Eye, he's swinging away, trying to find himself a Bugsy, and right in the back of the head. Evil Eye getting the last hit on that one, but Fnatic losing so many members, but they are on the defense and can get back to the objective fairly quickly. Spite to actually get his location online.
Now going for the last hit. Thiel finally going down. Dosup's back in the equation. Bittner comes down, just trying to keep this in contest as they're going through. 25 seconds left on the clock, but they are still fragging out. G2 picking up kills left and right. One more shot might get Fish Echo out of the air.
And just like that, Fishy Boy was the only one standing for a moment's time until Dosup's cleaned it up, and that's a 2-0 for G2.
Clean, calm, collected, exactly how they were in their interview. But feeling a little bit more here, and especially after that, I want to say, kind of gripping defeat at the beginning. Fnatic just kind of smacked them away from the point, got rid of the two big members they needed to shut down, and then they just took control, but they didn't hold it well enough. I feel like they might have underestimated the wave that was G2 kind of coming back in. Once Dosups gets in there, if they don't take care of him, I mean, he was on an 11 streak. He furthered that even more before he died, and then the minute he comes back again, kills left and right, just steady.
And I think making sure that their timing was proper, because if you look at Thiel and Anar on the opposite side, where it's easy to think, I need to get him off the objective, but because Anar is such a sponge, if you're not focusing in the right way, you waste so many shots into that unit, right? But then they waited till the end, bursted down, and here's actually a midnight from Bittner to start it off through time and space on the low. Bittner still looking for a bit of pursuit onto Cuss, who's stunned now. Just one more hit, and he would go down, but Jer is actually the one to fall.
Bittner still looking for the angle to try and hit him, but the healing's just too strong from G2, keeping himself alive. Wardoom on the 11 streak right now. Hasn't died just yet, and still getting aggressive, helping take down Thiel as Evil Eye finds a double kill, and G2, again, just feel like they're in control.
Comeback mechanic was in hand to get that 74%, but G2, like you said, back in the driver's seat, and they don't look like they want to let up in any capacity, so Fish Echo from downtown throwing out the fire.
Being able to hit that, you can see the patience you have to take for that Dragon Spit to travel, and it's just enough time that G2, they see it coming, they just don't worry about it. Spite up onto the high ground to get aggressive, but Thiel has one thing in mind, and that is get on the point, and actually left alone, now sitting at 85%, could potentially steal this away.
Dread Serpent thrown out by Fnatic, and Fnatic end up getting the objective. Look at that emoting from Thiel. He knows what his team just did, and even though they give their lives in the process, if you're going to give your life at any point, that's the time to do it.
That had to be a comms breakdown. Like, there's no reason. They watched Thiel walk right past them onto the point. Comeback mechanic is there. He doesn't have to be there long, and they just focused on the kills. They were trying to fight in the back now. Fnatic, I mean, they haven't gotten anywhere with the payload, but that's still just a big power play that brings the economy kind of back into their favor.
And using that Dread Serpent on the side of Fnatic to completely blockade that passageway, it forces your attention, even if just the noise itself kind of has you looking that way, then it was great coordination on their part, and Thiel keeping a nice cool head, even though he just got a little smacked from below there, but still.
And this is something that we've seen and, you know, we've noted on in past. You know when a team is in control of the map, in control of the draft and everything. When comeback mechanic gets the other side a point, and that payload doesn't go anywhere. Right now it's still sitting at home. Dosup's going down. Might open up a little bit more, but G2 is so aggressive, even if they all wipe where they are, that payload might make it a 25% before they can hold another time.
Crazy streaks on the side of G2. Even so, I think it was a 13 before Dosup's got eliminated on this Cassie, and you see Cuss had to vine out because he was almost taken down. But even so, G2, they're not really having to go ahead and get these big team fights. Tried to spite over the wall, but didn't quite make it. It's okay, Evil Eye. We'll pretend we didn't see that.
The theory's there. He still made it over the wall, just had to walk the long way around. Now, though, in a little bit more danger. But coming
He
out,
wanted to juke him.
I mean, keeping Fnatic relatively low, so they're constantly in this state of poke, even with Jera doing as much healing as he can. It's just not really enough to keep everyone alive. When everyone's half health in Yaramal Damba, they can't group up on the gourd. That's just going to be Cassie's play day.
Payload's finally made it to about 45%, and Cassie, she does like to play, especially from that top balcony. Dosup's getting a great angle onto Fnatic. But there's an Immortal thrown out. About 25 seconds to go, and Fasheko, some nice damage to take out Xin.
Right now, the shot steal still relatively low. 20 seconds left, a little bit under as the time just keeps on ticking down. And it just doesn't feel like Fnatic have it. And honestly, they don't want to invest too much here. If they do, then they're going to be pushing this for a long haul in overtime. But they have all 5 ults. Might as well kind of grip onto that and go into it. But Bittner gets a double kill. That might open it up for them.
Ooh, and I think exactly what you said, where G2 Esports are trying not to use too many resources, but at the same time, if all comes to be, you may have to. So Fnatic, with all of their ultimates available, but wanting to even the odds. Nice healing coming from iDrop Bodies as he has to shift his focus as a player for the meantime. Circling around to behind Fnatic as much as possible.
Trying to stay alive, overtime slowly going down, but it's going to get grabbed right back up. Tail end as Fnatic are still dancing around this, trying to figure out how to approach it. Bittner's going to be the big one, but it's going to be one more hit. You just have to find it. He stays alive, gets out of there, and that might actually be the final dagger in the coffin if Bittner comes back around.
Oh, and there's a seismic crash from Theo downtown, but not going to slow things down too much. G2 and Fnatic both losing 2. Make that 3 on the side of G2, and that payload moving on forward gets the push.
All of those streaks, all of that round, because they watched Theo just take a couple steps behind him, and then they ignored him for a few seconds. Again, it feels like there might have been some sort of communication breakdown, something that just let Theo live. Even though like he shouldn't have touched, he shouldn't have made it there with anywhere near as much health as he did. And so G2 definitely kind of getting smacked back down from that one. Still confident, but definitely a momentum stopper, slower, I think would be the better way to describe it.
And they did a great job early on in that push, holding strong with their defense, but I think because of the fact that they're trying to not use certain resources, it slowed them down a little.
A lot of Chronos investment. Of course, makes sense for the Genos, for the Grover. Keep up your heals, keep up that Astral Mark as much as possible. Dosups, though, is going for the Blast Shower, the Kinetic. He's just trying to make sure that he is getting as much damage as possible. Everything is going to be up. He's going to keep himself safe and continually take people down with him as long as he can find it and as long as he stays focused.
Great job using that scout immediately after the Midnight as well. Evil Eye is on the low ground, gets punished by Bittner as Fnatic stands with 51% on the objective. You hear of a dragon coming from somewhere, and there's a Dread Serpent as well. Pop goes Weasel, Dosup falls. And Fasheko gets the credit. Zin's the only one alive.
And not anywhere near or in any position to try and do anything. I mean, the minute he shows his face, it's going to be a rocket that he eats. Already relatively low Evil Eye. Not quite dead, staggered out. 10 seconds left before he's even around. And Fnatic, I mean, again, what looked like such a dominating grip from G2 had just peeled their fingers away, and I want to just say nailed their hands somewhere else so they can't get back on it.
And great job of Fasheko getting the double kill right now, but also the way he moved so forward past the objective, it left G2 Esports with very little opportunity to break back into the fray. You even saw with the Vine being able to reach a bit farther than usual and go to the opposite corridor, still couldn't make it to the objective.
These shots from Bugsy so far on point, being able to lock people down. Again, not finding too many kills just yet, but being able to keep him through. Kuskiti being able to clean him up and at least push him out. Opens up a little bit more room, but then Bittner just takes his place. That's the glory that Fnatic have right now. They have so many players that you have to get rid of. The same thing says for G2, but in the position they're in, it's a little bit more dangerous if G2 lose anyone. Versus Fnatic, they can just regroup, or somebody might be able to kind of pick up, just like a Hydra.
Shouldn't be too long before they have all ultimates on the side of G2. And Fnatic losing a little bit of momentum halfway through this push, but Fasheko, we talked about his Drogos a lot during the last set, and I don't see anything that has changed as far as his consistency, his mobility. Here's a Dragon Punch because he doesn't want to go bye-bye. Let's see if if he finds a target, doesn't find one, but I don't know if he was really expecting to at that point.
Stays alive. That's really what matters for him. He stayed in the map even though he was dangerously close to falling down and does follow up, gets drop bodies. Bugsy picks up Josephs. Now they're just starting to press the gas pedal. That whirlwind is not doing anything in terms of healing, and that is just going to shut them down. 3 already gone for G2.
And 2 only remaining. Make that 1. And for the next time, again, it's actually just the Zen standing, but Fnatic looking so strong. Bittner, Thiel, everyone picking up a kill. And finishing it off with a nice Dread Serpent. Fnatic take the victory in game number 1.
An incredible rallying cry, I want to say, considering how swift G2 seemed to take the beginning of that game and how it just looked like it was going to be, again, at the beginning of round 2, completely in their court. Everything fell apart. Fnatic take that and ride it the entire way they can. And now you can kind of see, I want to say, that G2 are recognizing, man, that did not go the way it was supposed to. I don't know whether or not it was their map pick, but it definitely was not as clean as it started out.
And they really did have such a nice start to that game, going 2-0 with some time to spare on the clock even. But Fnatic, they just picked up steam, and like I said, Fasheko having some really great plays, a couple key Dread Serpents as well that allowed for the solidifying of that point. Thiel just being where he needed to be at any point in time.
I mean, it kind of goes back again to what Cuss was saying, where they are a very momentum-based team. You know, you ride that 2-0, you're about to get 3, and then immediately everything gets cut off. You stop there, you lose that map, and now the question is whether or not you can rally back, or if that's going to be demoralizing enough that Fnatic can just start rolling.
Well, that was game number 1 of a best of 7. Let's hear what the desk has to say.
Well, you know, it didn't end the way it started, that's for sure. G2 had all the momentum, and then Fnatic somehow just stole it right back.
I think when it comes down to it, it is, again, it's so situational. Like your Grover has to hit crippling axes. When it did hit the Maeve was gone, just blown up completely. But when you have situations when you're not hitting those and you have to have Evil Eye looking up for the Drogos, it's just never a good sign when you have to put so much focus on what's up top. You forget about what's down low.
Yeah.
And Bugsy had an incredible performance throughout that entire game on the low ground.
It's interesting to see how well Bugsy can manifest himself in many different ways, whether it's the Kinessa, whether it's the Barrack, maybe not the most impressive, but definitely onto the Shaolin as of late, just effortlessly flowing and controlling the pacing of a fight and being a threat, really giving room for Fasheko to start being somebody who they're not paying attention to as their primary focus, and then coming in with some huge salvos.
Yeah, and you saw that when he was, you know, again, going outside the map, coming in. Well, almost 2 completely successful times.
Almost.
But regardless, when you have to put so much focus on the Maeve is pouncing at me, Shaolin's doing so much damage, all of a sudden, here comes a Fire Spit Salvo combo from who knows where.
Yeah.
And those are the big plays that matter, but, I mean, they also touched on it. Big Dread Serpents came out in combination specifically with the Dragon Punch. I mean, when you have moments like that you can completely eliminate someone off the board, that's huge.
Well, it's going to be Splitstone Quarry for map 2. This is a G2 map. They love this style. I think Fnatic does well on this too. Starting to see a couple of teams really shine here. Snipers playing a big role for sure, so I expect some of those either banned or both let through. Or maybe something a little interesting. Now is where you look at G2 Esports. And, I mean, looking back at that draft, Alan, I'd probably say that G2 doesn't get the better end of that draft. Having to last pick the Grover and everyone kind of being like, well, I guess you can go Grover here.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the adjustments heading into this?
I think that this map in particular opens up a lot of different play styles because there are ways to navigate to the high ground if you can stay mounted, which is kind of common, especially after the objective has been converted one way or the other. I think if you're looking at G2, though, you need something more secure. If there is a lot of mobility and a lot of verticality in Fnatic, you need a more secure sense of damage, I think, to deal with that than rather situational things like, okay, Doseps has to be incredible, which he was in the first part.
He was, yeah.
Or you have to hit Grover axes, which was good in the beginning, but it's just so situational. It's not something that you put necessarily in your favor, I think, more often than not.
These best of sevens often become just vacuums where there's whole world starts to develop and nothing else exists outside of it. Meta rules start to change. Priorities and drafts and bans start to shift. And G2 Esports have kind of found that Doseps on that Cassie in that damage roll can really have some great moments here today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was an absolute monster. He had an 11 streak at 3 minutes into the game, that first map, and then all of a sudden everything falls apart. And it's tough to come back against those situations. So, again, Fnatic, I think we're going to start to see them do a lot more of this with the double frontline ban, forcing both teams to either play solo front, which I think any day of the week I would give Fnatic the edge, or you're going to force G2 to play something a little bit more malleable up front that's not quite as strong as you would normally see. So I like this mindset in the drafting and the banning specifically for Fnatic thus far. I think when you're looking at G2, it just comes down to how can we continue to play our style when we aren't going to get the frontliners that we necessarily find priority in.
And now Kinessa, Strix are big conversation pieces
absolutely.
Because Fnatic know they're going to get at least one. So Shaolin taken as well to say, okay, you want the Cassie or do you want the Sniper? And both teams prioritizing that. They're going to say, I think we'll actually take Makoa. That's Theo getting to play it. It happens all the time. If anyone's playing Makoa, it's Theo suddenly in this map.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the environmental hazards on this map, I mean, it's just one of those things that you can't shy away from. Makoa is just too much of a priority. But the interesting thing is to go with Maeve and then also Cassie. I mean, we have yet to see any of the snipers come out. You would anticipate at some point we'll see a Kinessa. But again, we've been wrong.
We have been, totally.
And so far we are.
Yeah. And I think at this point, triple DPS is what G2 have to decide. It was Fnatic back at the Vegas LAN deciding whether they wanted to try and do what Envy was doing with the double tank. And they've really settled into that triple DPS, single tank is where we shine. That's our meta right now. G2 Esports not looking as identifiable here for me.
I think when you look at G2, the biggest thing that pops up as far as a big identity is the fact that they play a lot of really good off-support roles, you know, like the Grover, like the Pip specifically could be a solo healer for them if they really needed to be. When you take a look at their frontline gameplay, it's just so interesting because Wardem has been up in that spot before doing solo front things, so it's not uncommon to think, and wow, this is really interesting to see a Maeve, Cassie, and a Drogos come out when you have to anticipate there is going to be a triple damage for Fnatic. You would think at this point this is calling for a Kinessa pickup.
It definitely is. I think they're trying to maybe bait that out. They're also maybe saying, Fnatic, are you still going to stick with your single front line? Are you going to try and test us knowing we've got three of the best top-tier damage dealers in the business right now? And Fnatic, I could see them actually switching it up here just because the draft looks tempting, enticing, but hopefully they stick to their guns. They've got the Genos, 2 more picks before things are all decided on their end.
Gosh, I'm just thinking.
And they did.
Yeah, I think this is a misdraft for Fnatic, if I were to give an opinion, because you're dealing with a Maeve, Cassie, Drogos. Throwing up a second frontliner is not going to make much of a difference against that, because that Barrack shield's not going to be up for very long. The deployables are not going to be up for very long. I would have rather have seen another source of damage from Fnatic to help deal with that Drogos, Cassie, Maeve, then because you know they're going to go solo front. And Makoa, he can do okay versus Turnus, but Barrack adds very little to the equation if I were to give an opinion on it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, you have a lot of options there in Torvald, in Khan. I mean, and you look at, you know, Leon again, somebody who's done well but not prioritized here, does well against Drogo specifically, does decently good against Maeve as well.
Sure.
And it can play from long distance here. It's going to be interesting to see if this one works out in the way of G2. This time, they're the single front line, and Fnatic shifting it back up. Hasn't worked great for them in the past, but maybe we're in a new age.
Fnatic's bringing out the Barrack once again, and it didn't really work that well the last time we saw it.
I feel like he's been like on ups and downs every single map he goes to. This is one that I think could have some potential for him, but honestly, you're looking at the other front lines being able to pick it up, and you're looking at Kinessa kind of creating some space for him to be comfortable.
Because we saw an interesting application when it was Theo, and you could actually have a very different playstyle in that Barrack situation as opposed to on Frog Isle when we saw the double front line. It was actually Bugsy on the Barrack. So here on Splitstone Quarry, our destination for game number 2. And this was the game actually where game number 2 of the last time they faced each other on this map was where G2 felt that they should have had the game.
And that's really where things kind of come apart. I mean, the last time these two played, G2 won Fnatic's map and almost won their own map. This is just one that they have gone from hating to loving. And that's why I feel like their draft in this really feels comfortable. Reinforced casing here for Fish Echo, though, is going to be a big difference. Although it doesn't even matter. Theo is just going to go ahead and get the hook.
Oh, baby, that's an early first blood for Theo onto Wardoom, and Fnatic actually passing that 30% mark on the objective as well. Bodies is back on the Maeve, a very good thing for the side of G2, but Evil Eye's won with a double kill.
Going up in the air, as long as he can find these rockets. I mean, Fusillade hits hard. You don't have to worry too much about your presence, as long as you can kill everyone who's going to stand there. But right there, that last kill, Bugsy getting rid of the dragon. That's going to be the story of this game. Fnatic have to keep Bugsy alive to take care of him, and G2 have to kill Bugsy if they want him to have anywhere near the impact he should.
Oh, and Bodies and Dose-Ups and War Doom all taking heavy hits from Bugsy on this Kinesis. Such a strong pick for him, and that's what's helping contribute to this increase in capture on the side of Fnatic. And that's also why the Maeve hasn't really been able to make her way back into the equation.
Being able to just sit on the point comfortably, control pretty much the entire time from first blood till they finally capture it. Now just kills rolling in as they get aggressive. This payload's going to have a lot of space to move up for free. G2 are going to have a lot of trouble, I feel like, dismounting. I mean, if they can get rid of Fish Echo, they might be able to start moving forward, but then they have to deal with Bittner, they have to deal with Bugsy. There's just so much to fall back on.
Yeah, Fishy and Biddy both picking up kills, and I don't think they're going to be letting up anytime soon if they're just allowed to have just open reign in the way that they have in some moments in this game. But G2 Esports starting to try and gather themselves as a unit to potentially collapse upon the competition. War Doom on the bottom ground, but still taking a lot of damage for himself, and now Dose-Up's adding that vision.
I have to get one out right now, just because I feel like it always has to be said. Thiel is on Makoa, so that is always going to be threatening. Not right now since he just died, but in every other aspect of this game, it's been going relatively well. For Sheko going into the King Bomb, looking to roll around, trying to find somebody. Not sure who exactly he wants. It's going to be the corner, as everyone's just going to be able to fall back and get away from him.
Just wanted to go to a different place as fast as possible. That's all he was looking for.
He wanted to give us the jolly tunes.
But look at this Dread Serpent right there at the end, and actually the Midnight as well. G2 Esports having to pull out all the stops to potentially finish off this defense with a whole minute to spare, and Bodies eliminated after taking out Fasheko. Look how close this payload is, and there's your actual push. Fnatic looking strong.
Thiel almost dies, doesn't go down. Emotes at the end because, hey, we just walked it on in. You guys, again, on your map, aren't looking so hot. Maeve, when she's in the air, Drogo's when you're in the air. That Kinessa, Bugsy just tracks him, shoots him, and even just one hit, even if he doesn't get a headshot, no matter what, they're locked down. If he gets a headshot, more than likely going to be able to kill them right after, or with it, with the way things have been going.
And it sucks because G2 Esports, they actually used a couple ultimates right there at the end just to try and get that defense. Because there was so much time left on the clock, I think that's why they were willing to do so. But now, you're going into your next round, no Midnight, no Dread Serpent. All you've got technically up right now is the Dragon Punch. And on the opposite end, there's a Headhunter through time and space available.
And Midnight's probably the one that's actually the most important, just because how do you get rid of Bugsy? You cut off his vision. Now you're going to be able to track him. He's going to be able to teleport away low. And those daggers actually find him long range, drop bodies around the corner.
Nice shot from him, and Dose-Up's looking for a little bit of action on his own, taking out Fasheko after he punished Evil Eye, and I drop bodies. He's still in the fight, getting pretty low, all the way down to 59 HP before eliminated by Bittner. So G2's gonna have to take some time.
Comeback mechanic could be big here. Jared trying to keep everyone alive, and you can see through the wall. If he could, he might be able to replicate his quadra kill, but as it is right now, holding on to the ult, trying to prepare themselves. Evil Eye going to go down, but not without taking someone with him. 85% and rising. G2 are looking to hold on to this.
Now Theo is back onto the objective as well, popping that Ancient Rage, swinging away at the Terminus, but he doesn't even need to necessarily focus it down for a kill just yet, just wants to keep himself on the objective. Dread Serpent pushing away in the meantime from G2 Esports. Overtime settling on down. That 99% really wants to become 100.
Now all they have to do is step on it. They're going to be able to get that G2 take point number 2, round 2, as they're holding onto this. But pushing it is going to be a completely different story, whether or not this aggression is going to work, especially if you let Fish Echo just take you down like this systematically. Bittner picks up one. They might be able to clean up the other. Cuss just left alone, and Fish finds 2.
Fishy baby getting those nice stickies, and in combination with the rest of the team as well. Now trying to find himself an eye drop bodies and drop his body into the dirt, and there you have it. To the grave he goes.
So you can see where Fnatic's standing right now. And I'm going to go ahead and note they're defending. They are keeping G2 locked pretty much right within their base. They can get a little bit out, but they haven't been able to break through. Now, depending on whether or not they can get rid of Fasheko, and I think that's going to be Evil Eye's job. Try to blow him up before he blows you up. You might be able to do it, but he's just coming around the side. You finally get a little bit of pressure, but a Bomb King is about to be right behind you.
Here's the flank potential. I drop bodies circling, trying to find himself Bugsy, who he knows is right below him. but he doesn't want to get too aggressive without a nice opportunity to land some of these shots. But Bugsy finds him first and punishes.
I mean, just shot so clean, being able to hold these angles. Bugsy hadn't really had a reason to get aggressive. He's going to move up a little bit there, but that's just to match the rest of his team who are holding G2 back. I mean, it's just a net over every single door. They can walk into it, but it's not going to go too well for them. With the way things are, I mean, even if they start getting a kill, a minute left, this payload has not moved at all. It's going to take forever to try and get this push started, even if they can touch down.
We just saw the same situation about 45 seconds ago. G2 Esports in a lot of the same positioning where you have Evil Eye right outside the doorway, that there's a fishy lurking behind, and now the payload all the way back to its starting position still. Dosup's taking to the high ground, can maybe land some nice shots into the members of Fnatic, but that still leaves a lot of work to do.
And I mean, here's the big problem too. Every time they look towards, okay, we're going to get rid of Fisheko, we're going to get rid of X on Fnatic, Bugsy just takes a shot. That's all he needs to do. Okay, now you're half health. Reassess your situation. Do you still want to go in? Do you still want to fight? And is it still going to work out? 20 seconds left on the clock. They're finally retreating on the side of Fnatic. But is it going to make a big difference? I mean, this corner is one of the hardest to get around, and you haven't even made it there yet.
They're okay with letting this payload move a little. There's no extra benefit you get from it being at the complete starting position at the end of that. But a nice hook from Thiel to actually bring Evil Eye down to the ground and into the dirt. Eye drop bodies. Wanting to try and control the situation, but when you're focusing in on these high targets, and yes, you get the kill onto Jera, but that's going to be a 3-1 for Fnatic so far.
I mean, that comes down as no less than Fnatic just having a phenomenal hold, and Fisheko specifically just being a huge distraction factor. He's either sitting back, getting poked, getting kills, or forcing people to look at him. No matter what he's doing, they're paying attention to him. I mean, he's got more health, he's got the CC and the slow reduction. And with the way things are going, specifically getting a kill with Detonate, giving him that movement speed, he's just running around. Shocken is allowing him to either chase, get in, get out, and because of that, he's really difficult to lock down. Lock on the Cauterize 3, and G2 just don't have anywhere to stand.
I also want to note just some of those slash lines that we saw. G2 Esports pretty high in the death count, but Fnatic, look at Bugsy, Fisheko, the impact that they have had. And now you're going into this G2 Esports with the comeback mechanic like they had last time. But Fnatic are just 1 point away from taking the second game of the set.
All they need is maybe one good King Bomb, which is going to get charged up. Through time and space going to get thrown out. Not going to connect with anyone in a big way, but Drop Body's in danger, and that's going to be the kill. Fisheko starts it off.
Finds him 24% and climbing, and there's a dragon above in the sky, but Jera makes sure that he lives no longer. Fnatic still looking strong, taking down the 2.
Now just chasing them around. Kills left, right, point control in their favor. But that's not going to be the only fight. Fnatic do have to kind of keep this defended. G2 have the comeback mechanic, but Fnatic are going to have to sit here just the same old amount of time. Although right now they don't seem too worried about it. The way they've taken their positioning, you can kind of spread out, watching all angles G2 could come from.
How often has Bugsy just been chilling up there on the balcony with nobody able to touch him? You've seen bodies try to do so a couple times, but nonetheless, there you go. 93% for Fnatic. G2 Esports rushing to make some kind of impact on this objective. Wardoom standing strong, but here's the Ancient Rage from Makoa swinging away once again at this target. Also finds himself a Dosup's behind, but Wardoom putting himself right in the face.
Wardoom had reanimate. If he had been able to die in the right spot, might have been able to make a big impact, but jumps in a little bit too late, and I feel like you can see Fnatic just, what's going on? What are you doing? I mean, they're doing the cuss cutie post-game, but it's Fnatic.
I mean, there are ways to BM and trash talk without the actual talking part.
It's all in the body language.
Everyone is trying to master that art now that we're in these new soundproof booths, but you can see just the members of G2 losing a little bit of their hope right now, and 1 game okay, but 2 games now, even though it's a best of 7, so you can technically afford to lose another and attempt for the reverse sweep, but especially with a team like this so momentum-based, you would have to have a huge turnaround game to make that possible.
You're allowed to lose them, you never want to. And that's kind of one of the things. I mean, Cuss just walked by, I guess he's going, you know, either the bathroom / his face, something. But this is one of the big things, noticing, going back to just listening to some of the comms in Vegas, this is where G2 kind of locked down, where they don't have anywhere near as clear communication. Their play doesn't quite fit the way they normally do. This is normally where they shut down. This is what they've been saying all weekend. This is where they have to lock it up, where they have to kind of pick themselves up and get back into it.
Well, we'll see what happens if G2 has a moment to shake it off a little bit. We're going to send it back to the desk.
You know, this is where you try to figure it out. Like Star Wars. You know, is this a solo story? Is this a G2 story? Is this a Fnatic story? At this point, it's looking more like the Fnatic story to where they finally get their first land win. For G2, this is looking like something is amuck.
There are just giant question marks all over the place because, again, you know, I'm a big enough man to admit that when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I do not see any particular reasons why Barrick is so successful against the roster that they just put up against with G2.
Yeah.
There were just so many dysfunctional moments.
Yeah.
Terminus Ultimate doesn't go off. You know, Drogos misses a couple of big moments.
Not on the point, right.
Yeah, it's just what is it that's going on? It's one of those things that it's going to be hard to pinpoint. It just seems like right now Fnatic is more locked in, ready to play than G2 is.
Fnatic is locked in. They are loaded. They are fully equipped, and that's one thing to be aware of. Off to the races they go, and no one's catching them at this pace. They're going to either have to slow down, or G2 is going to have to take some G Fuel, some coconut water.
Something.
I don't know, man. Something maybe even more than that to be able to get a boost and catch up because, you know, not even mechanically, but we're sensing some frustration here in the building. You don't want to lose a game like that by just stepping off the point, 4 people alive, and a reanimate in the pocket.
Yeah, and when Fish Echo's allowed to do the things that he was doing this game, I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many times he used Poppy Bomb to get aggressive rather than to retreat. I mean, it was just so much trust to get in and know that your teammates are going to be there. It's an incredible amount of synergy that is required to do so, but he found the right targets almost every single time, whether it was through ultimate or just by repositioning himself. And again, it's just space that was gained time and time again. I mean, Makoa, of course, you know, you can't say enough about Makoa. It's just Makoa doing Makoa things, but man, this is. I mean, it just feels bad right now for G2 because there's no reason they should have lost that badly.
Whenever you get that wide eye, that's like that. Okay, I so know that I'm right in this conversation, and I'm waiting for you to say something because there's no way you're gonna change. I'm listening, right? You get in that argument tone. Cuss has those white eyes, where it's either rage, frustration, or maybe a little bit in between, as they are now down 2 games. Fnatic outscoring them essentially in kills nearly 2-1. The healing numbers were towards the way of G2, but as far as shielding, as far as just assist, as far as limiting deaths, you know, it was just all in the way of Fnatic.
Yeah, that's my biggest storyteller is the assist category. You know, that was even dating back to World Championships was who can just be more active in the kill participation. Usually it's a team that ends up winning. Yeah. Very rarely do you see a team that wins that is lower in assists than the team that loses. So it's just really interesting to see Stone keep coming out. Again, this kind of feels very comfortable for G2.
Right.
More often than not, we see them using, you know, their compositions to their strengths, but at the same point, it's just, man, there is no reason that last game should have been as lopsided as it was, and it makes you wonder, what is it going to take for G2 to get back in? Because if they lose this game, it's at that point, I hate to say it, but it's going to feel pretty over.
I think it's going to feel pretty over to everybody watching, everybody playing Fnatic, all giggles, and you saw them, and the reaction was, what are you guys doing? And it was a legitimate question. It wasn't BM. It was like, wait, we just stepped on the point. You guys have ults. That's not normal. It definitely wasn't normal. G2 known for being a little bit more out there, being a little bit more willing to take risks, and giving the Makoa to Theo. I say it all the time. Theo plays Makoa more than anybody. I don't know why. Just like how much sometimes Rock Monkey keeps getting Cassie and Shaolin. Yeah. I don't know why, but it happens. And I wonder if they'll make an adjustment here. I expect them to.
They have to. It's just so tough because what adjustment do you make?
Where is the adjustment?
Yeah, because you just got blown out in the last 2 games. I mean, the only moment that you can look back to as far as things were going well was the start of game 1. And then past the halfway point, it was just all Fnatic. It's been all Fnatic for the last map and a half, we'll say, and starting things off with a Shaolin ban.
I don't know if I feel like that's a good ban.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
You know, just because the Makoas hurt them, the Kinessas hurt them, they're in an interesting spot of also, you know, even if they get the Cassie, they're giving up a lot of good things on this table here. And if you get the Cassie, then you're giving up the Makoa. It's whatever it is.
It's a tough give
or you give up the Cassie. You've just given up one of them, right? Unless you ban out Grab, and then they're still able to follow with a lot. So then there's the Kinessa. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't at this point by leaving Makoa and Cassie on the board now.
It's just, man, I don't understand the Kinessa ban. I mean, yeah, you do
Look
see
at
people
this.
play Kinessa. Yeah.
That's real-time reaction right there. That's like, really? again? Theo playing Makoa again?
Yeah, this is trouble. I mean, you see Kinesis come out on this map every now and again, but it does not seem like something at the highest level is going to be the biggest influence. It just kind of feels like a throwaway ban.
And a first pick, you could build around countering that if they first pick a Kineso. Or if they don't, then you can grab it later on as well if you find it that valuable. You can't really build around countering a Makoa. He just does what he does. They could flex double tank. They could go single tank, and he's going to be fine wherever he's at. The Cassie Drogos, good champions here, and maybe just saying, we need Evil Eye to not have the pressure that Bugsy's been applying on that Kinessa previously.
Yeah, very well could be. And if that's what they need to get going and that's what they want to focus their whole mentality on for this game, then go for it. You know, commit to it. It just seems like at the moment G2 is not playing their style of game where they commit to a play style and they say, all eggs are in that basket, let's just throw it and see what happens, because the last two games have felt very kind of intermediate between passive, aggressive, point control, you know, kill heavy. It's just, we haven't seen anything in particular that says this is G2.
So you got bodies, you got, I mean, this could easily be Cuss going to something like a Damba, and you could start getting in. You could grab a Terminus here. You could basically, and this is what they'll probably do. I would expect Damba Terminus, but they're going to go for the Fernando instead. War Doom, and I can believe it. After that, what just happened last game, not really feeling too confident on Terminus yet again.
Yeah, and it might just be communication breakdowns, or it could just not be the same synergy that they've had previously.
It's bad vibes, too.
Yeah, it could just be the vibe, you hit it on the head. I mean, and War Doom, you can put Fernando in War Doom's hands, and he's going to do War Doom things, and you can play off of that. You can let the dog loose and just kind of make plays happen as they come. So I'm fine with it. I'm completely fine with it.
Now, what they've done in this set is they've switched Doe onto things like Cassie. So right now, we actually may not have seen Bodies' pick yet. We would assume in a previous G2 style where Doe is flexing onto a double tank that Bodies is playing the Cassie. But right now, we're not sure. Fisheko causing problems on the Bomb King. Bittner causing problems on the Pip. I mean, Fnatic with a Makoa as well and a Luminary Genos to amp these three up, you're not looking like there's any point of weakness.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Flat out. If you're G2 at this point, I mean, gosh, I would have to say, I mean, this is another one of you're darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Yeah.
The solo Fernando's going to have a tough time, but if you go another front line, the DPS is going to have a hard time. It's just this is again another very solid draft from Fnatic. I mean, you hit it. You know who's going to be playing what. It's a power pick on each of those players. I mean, this is a tough one for G2.
It's rough because you say, okay, go Andro, but the Makoa hook's there when it wasn't.
Yep.
And that really would shut down a lot of what he was trying to do. So they're going to go for the Zen. They do not have Luminary to deal with, but this is something that Evil Eye has proven to be good at with Guillotine, but we haven't seen that translate to Dosips or Bodies as well.
Yes.
And I think that's really going to be the question mark here. How do they make that transition?
At this point, someone has to step up and just be the carry.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter who it is. It could be Cuss having the most clutch Damba ults and heals ever and then hitting massive stuns. It could be Evil Eye doing his own thing. It could be War Doom doing his whole thing. It could be Doe, again, having another monster start on Cassie. But somebody has to be the pickup right now because there is very little fuel in the tank by the looks of it.
And the only thing you could say that, you know, God forbid, Fnatic's Bittner doesn't have that kind of a crazy moment, right, where he goes and just takes control over a game. Because this should be Bittner on this, then maybe you've got a bet. Maybe you've got a little bit more of a chance. Maybe Bittner kind of plays an average Pip instead of an exceptional Pip, and then maybe things start to look a little bit more open for the Zen.
It's just one of those things that with how Fish has played Bomb and how Bittner's played Pip, they call go, and there's a Poppy Bomb in aggressively, there's Weightless in aggressively, and all of a sudden, this team that looks like it has no mobility whatsoever is in your backline.
Yeah.
All like out of nowhere.
Right.
And how do you respond to that? You know, can Fernando get back fast enough to peel? You know, can Damba slither away? Can Drogos turn the attention? There's just so many things that can happen so quickly with the roster right here that looks like for Fnatic it's going to be very set up, get the high ground. You know, as soon as we have that dominance, just stay there. But they don't have to, is the thing, with how they've been playing this aggressive Pip today.
I mean, a different ban cycle, right? And maybe you're looking at that Inara with a Khan, maybe with a Barrack, something that you say, okay, Inara's maybe kind of leading the charge here. It's just this Makoa thing just keeps tilting this draft a little bit for me towards the way of Fnatic to where they have to almost mess up.
Yeah, badly, too.
Badly. This is their game to lose, you would assume here. Zen's got to overperform to be getting a lot of damage here without being the Luminary amp on his side. But how do you feel now that Drogoz doesn't really? Here's the one big note: Drogoz does not have a lot of counter air hit scan.
That's what I was looking at too.
To compete at.
Yeah, I mean that's the big key. If you look at Drogoz, is can Drogoz stay at a distance,
right?
Get good damage numbers, create space with Fire Spit, create space with Salvo, make sure the ultimates are highly efficient. That's the big key, I think. That's the most likely spot, I guess is the best way of saying of who's going to be the one character or one champion to come through and really start things moving in G2's way. For me, it's the Drogoz simply because Bomb King's going to have to hit mid-air stickies. Pip's going to have to find a way to get his Catalyst down when he's not floating.
Yeah.
And beyond that, Makoa, I mean, mid-air pulls. That's the only other thing you can do to get him out of the air.
And, I mean, think about it, too. Once that starts to roll, say Drogoz becomes a problem, gets a kill. Now you're looking, how do I finish him off with no real hit scan pressure except Jera on Genos? I mean, then Cassie gets room, then Zen gets room, and then this lineup starts to make a little bit more sense. Yeah. So I think this is really hinging on Evil Eye. We're not going to take any more time here. Let's get it to the casters and see how this pivotal Game 3 will go.
And I'll tell you, I don't think you should rely upon hoping that Bittner's going to have an okay pip performance, or just the composition that they've brought to the table is so great for them.
You know, you're probably in a rough spot if you're just hoping that someone's not going to play this champion, as well as they've played some of the other ones. Normally, once they're warmed up, and especially after that set, Fnatic probably feeling very warmed up, it's going to be interesting. But again, going back towards the fact that Drogoz doesn't have too much competition to take him out of the sky, that's one thing that was kind of there even on the last map, although Bugsy was obviously going to be the one taking him down. But Bomb King, Fsheko specifically, was still in his face, still causing a lot of trouble. So I'm still wondering whether or not that's going to be what they're relying on to try and get rid of Evil Eye, or if they just don't even care.
And you actually have Doseps back on the Cassie, a little bit of switcheroo here and there. But Theo, he's on this Makoa, man. It's rough.
Ebb and Flow, just going to be able to get that shell spin back a little bit faster. In, get out. Theo, just known for this Makoa, and immediately going to be able to come through. Not first blood, but he does pick up the second.
So at least Fsheko gets a little bit of redemption, and meanwhile, Fnatic 42% on the objective. Bittner falls, Bugsy's on the Inara, and actually rotates around to get that kill onto Doseps, brings himself back to the objective, and now is facing off against the Dragon Man.
Evil Eye with a triple kill, looking to kind of continue that route, going to be able to find a fourth. It's not the Quadra, but it's still going to be extended. 4 down kills under his belt, and looking to apply that pressure. If he can just fly around like that, then G2 shouldn't have too much of an issue. But you can see 54%, that was just Inara standing on the point. Theo getting back down there, fighting around that area, but here comes the Dragon Sponge.
Oh, who is he gonna go ahead and find? And the biggest boy there is, but no! Fsheko throws it back onto Evil Eye, and in the end, Doseps picks one up, but still, that is devastating if he can't get that to connect.
Right around, pincered between 3. Fsheko gonna go down. Wardoom credit for the kill. Theo coming in and being able to frag out. One more shot is all it would take, but Job Body's gonna be able to counter and walk away. Controlling Evil Eye is really the thing they have to do. A couple more hits like that, and it should work with the way things are going. Fnatic are just focused on the objective. Job Body's forced to run in, and it doesn't go well.
Man, I really thought he had that Dragon Punch. That was so sad. Now Fnatic get the first point, capture the objective, and move on forward, but that was just very, very quick reaction.
I mean, at least as a consolation prize, he got to keep 30% of his ult. I mean, that's at least something. You can look on the bright side for that, or you can just look at how solidly Fnatic are playing. I mean, we've been making jokes that, you know, Evan is a brick wall, but then you get stuff like this. Fsheko, Bittner, Jera, all just picking up kills within a matter of seconds of each other.
Fsheko's just making it look so easy. The way that he moves across the map, and it's the same thing that we had actually seen from Bittner on the Pip when we were watching him on this very map during the last set. I feel like you can send him into this with himself blindfolded, and he would still be able to navigate it.
I mean, with the way things are going for them, they don't seem too worried about the map, about the play. One more hit kills off Wardoom. Bittner going down, though, might be a little bit. Evil Eye starting to get aggressive. If he can find some kills like he did earlier, that'll be what he needs. Him and Doseps collectively kill off Fsheko, and now they're starting to lock it down and push away Fnatic.
Smack one down, looking for another. Bugsy fairly low, gets a nice last hit from Evil Eye, who gets hooked in by Theo, though, and Jera with the punishment, a double kill to his name.
Looking to get aggressive, but Bittner in this awkward position. Now Theo going to be coming up with him. Still finds the kill onto Cuss, though. That's going to give him the room they need to get back on there. Theo relatively low. Healing potion comes up, but it's not a lot in terms of keeping him alive. But with Bugsy, everyone slowly trickling back in. Fnatic are back on the payload. It's moving. It's almost in.
Oh, and there you go. A little bit of a face-off. Bodies taking down Fisheko. But meanwhile, Fnatic is able to push this through, capitalizing upon a few kills in their pocket.
Being able to find it. I mean, this was beautiful from Evil Eye, and everything you would have wanted as a Jogos, just being able to fly around. He gets the triple, eventually kills off Bugsy right there. Fusillade just eats through their health bars. But it didn't make a difference. It didn't matter because immediately afterward, he gets taken care of, pushed out, and the rest of the team wasn't there.
Yeah, that was huge because Evil Eye did have some great moments, a couple double kills, and very good zoning of some of the most difficult champions to deal with. But in the end, as soon as he was taken out of the equation, G2 wasn't able to actually have any real impact on the objective.
Light Years 4 is a relatively interesting one. This is something that you typically see maybe 2, maybe 3, but going up, increasing the range of Astromar. I mean, at this point, Jera should be able to hit that pretty much anywhere around this point. He should never be worried about trying to connect with a teammate.
Oh, here's a King Bomb blasted by Evil Eye. Bittner throwing some of that damage back, though. 36% on the objective. Body's making his rotation past the impasse, and here's actually a spike from him as well. But Dosubs is the one to pick up the kill on Bugsy.
Bittner long-range shot going to get rid of Dosubs. Cuss going to fall down to Thiel as he's getting aggressive Mega Potion. And third time in space comes through. Does not get anything, but it doesn't matter. Fisheko's back. Immortal forced, but they're just one hit.
And there is the last hit waiting to actually connect, and there it is onto Bodies. And you saw that War Doom, they're just waiting for that ultimate to expire. 87% on this objective. And boy, oh boy, Fnatic are looking strong.
I mean, this has just been rolling. This is a train that started at the top of a hill for Fnatic, and it started going downhill. Not only is it picking up its own speed, but gravity is pulling it down. The momentum is full in their favor, and G2 needs something huge to try and stop it. It looked like it might have been Evil Eye at the beginning, but with stuff like that, I mean, Drop Body is getting killed with Thiel so close. That's exactly how this feels.
That's the crazy thing. When you go and you look at G2 and they use these ultimates and everything, but then you look at the kill feed and then they're the ones that fall after and think, man, you did not get the value that you wanted out of that. In some cases, okay, if you Dragon Punch somebody and you die after, that's not an uncommon situation and you can deal with that trade. But there have been other cases where G2 just hasn't gotten the value they need to justify the ultimate.
Drop Body's going to be able to take down Fisheko, but again, the kills just start trickling in for Fnatic, and this is actually great for them. You look at it on the other side, every LAN they've come to this year, starting with HRX, looking at PWC, they've come in relatively favored, looking like they should be the strongest. You can even go back a little bit further for that, and every single time they get dethroned before they can make it, even if they get to the finals, they have something like Na'Vi being able to take them down 4-0, or Envy coming around and taking it from them. This is a great position to be in. They're about to push a payload in and put themselves up 3-0.
Dread Serpent and Seismic Crash, actually both of you. So Fnatic right there, past it all, end up pushing the payload and getting the victory for game number 3.
Now, this is one of those moments, I mean, you look at, let's say, semifinal number 2, where they're in it, and it's 4-0 for one side, 4-0 for the other side. You shrug that off at that point. You come in here, and you're like, well, we lost their map, then we lost our map, now we've lost our other map since we got to choose that one, and that was a 4-0. Where do we go from here? What map do we choose? How do we change our picks? What are we going to be looking at? And you can kind of see Fnatic seem to be feeling just fine. Bugsy has a smile on his face. Whereas on the other side, G2 still seem to be trying to find that rally. Don't get too down on themselves because that is exactly what has pulled them apart before.
And you saw Cuss, he was talking very animated fashion to the rest of the team, looking at their coach, Kyle, in this way of, what are we going to do? How are we going to potentially pull this back? Because now they have to win 4 games in a row to be able to actually take the set, and they can't afford to drop anything else.
You lose 3 in a row, and then you're told you have to win 4 in a row. You can go at the max, I guess, losing, what, 3 times 12 points total across 4 maps, but it's going to be difficult, and especially if you do lose anything, you go 3-3, it just puts a lot of stress on you going into the next map, and then into the next map. It gets to the point where reverse sweeps are possible, but you really have to ride that momentum. This is the biggest point for them to turn around.
And Fnatic looked so cozy and comfortable and relaxed after that game ended. They just had so many things that were working in their favor. And who knows, maybe that'll happen in the next game, or maybe it'll shift the tides over to G2. Let's throw it to the desk to see what they have to say.
Well, really a lot to dissect in that game there, Alan.
Tons.
I mean, we just have so much material.
So much.
I mean, to get in depth, I mean, really dig deep under the surface there.
I'm just
Yeah, let's toss that aside.
This is
Honestly,
ridiculous.
don't even need this. There's nothing to
put it away.
talk about. This is a set that has just gone 3-0, and it has looked like it is the easiest call of a 4-0 that we've seen in a long time. And unless G2 come back from that bathroom break with I almost got X-rated there. I said some larger members, and I mean larger members as far as team members and their performances on the battlefield. We're not seeing this set go any way differently.
This doesn't feel like a spring finals.
It sure doesn't.
Again, this is a finals.
Right.
This is the two best teams in the PPL, quotes. I just don't understand. I mean, we were wondering if Bittner's going to have the same kind of performance.
Yeah.
He did. By the way.
Yeah.
He still looked incredible on Pip, by the way.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, it started off, watching it with Evil Eye I'm going in. I'm just going to go do the thing.
Yeah.
And he did. He went in and did the thing, and then it didn't go so well, and then another thing did. It's just, it feels like, you ever seen the replacements?
Yeah.
It's quicksand.
Oh, yeah.
One thing goes wrong,
Yeah.
and the next thing goes wrong, and then you feel like you're just in over your head, and that's, you can feel the vibe, from across the entire studio here.
You really can.
It just feels like everything is, there's too much weight right now in G2, and at the end of that game, it looked like it was a pub game.
So at this point in time, there's two different ways I think you can go about it, and you can kind of really have someone on your team, and I don't know if G2 is the team to do this, because honestly, I've never seen them do like a 0-3 and then come back and 4-3 basically and reverse sweep. You have to either find someone on your team or a way to reset. You have to just take it all off, put it with a grain of salt, say that we have put ourselves in a horrible spot. Treat it like LeBron might do in that Golden State Finals, where he just says, man, I got nothing but to play for one game more. I got to give my heart. I got to play a real game. I got to show who I am as a player, and that's what G2 haven't done. They've not represented themselves well as players right now. These guys are way better than this. All credit to Fnatic.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they're playing out of their minds right now. Yeah, but you hit it on the head. I think if you're G2, you need Cuss or Doe or Kyle or somebody, it doesn't matter who, just to get the guys, go take the headsets off, come together. Look, at this point, we've got nothing to lose. Let's go out and play one game and see what happens. Because if you go down 4-0, it's, you're still the best team in North America.
Yeah.
You still finished off a really good spring split. And it is, for all intents and purposes, I hate to say just the spring split, but this isn't the Paladins World Championships. This is the spring split finals. There's still a whole bunch of Paladins to be played this calendar year. It just comes down to, can you reset the mindset? Can you make yourself just feel relaxed at home? Right now, it just feels like it's just so much tension. Everyone's on edge. At least that's wearing black and gray at the moment.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I'm starting to feel it because we're seeing, so Kyle out there sitting, and he's not looking very confident, and I think that shows. You got to have somebody at least feign some confidence, feign some direction, and it's just the way that it is when you're losing. Look at this team. I mean, you could tell the difference in this room.
Deflated.
Look at that. It just feels like, what do we do? And so at this point, I'm looking for answers. I don't think we have any on the desk right now. I don't know if they have any down there. There may not be any answers for Fnatic, so let's talk a little bit about Fnatic. I thought this was a big, big moment for them. I thought if they came into this and they didn't win any finals, they didn't win any basically silverware, somebody's getting shifted. Something's happening. 2 seasons and you don't win any trophies as a result, you need something else. But now, they're looking good.
Looking really good.
I think everyone's getting a bit of like, hey, this is what we were. This is what we should have been.
And that, I think, is, again, just a testament to the resilience of the squad.
Yeah.
They make one switch in between the World Championships to the spring. Everyone else is still core. They're still playing the same roles. They're still playing the same play style. It was a play style that back in the fall, we were literally sitting there looking at them go, Fnatic, will you please play double frontline?
Exactly. What are you doing?
Please play double frontline. And now all of a sudden, the single frontline is absolutely what they need to carry them through. And that just goes to be, it's just Paladins.
Yeah.
This is, bans come into the game. You can cater your draft through those 2 opening bans. You can cater the game a little bit more off the DPS heavy style that you played all through the fall, and all of a sudden, well, you get a perfect spring season and you're about to finish off potentially a 4-0 in the finals. You can't feel bad about that.
Yeah, and I think Fnatic are 1 game away, and happily understanding that they're 1 game away. Makoa Ruckus, nobody on Fnatic allowing those 2 champions to be played today unless they get one of them, and they've gotten Makoa 2 games in a row and won both of them. It's 0-3. Maven Shaolin grabbed up here, so G2, yeah, they could take Cassie. But is that what they want? Is that what's going to shift the tide? It hasn't been the answer thus far.
And I think the fact that they're taking so long to decide really kind of goes to show that there is a lot of deliberation of where do we go to start this draft off.
Right.
You know, you would feel like, because it is their pick, all right, this is what we're going to ban, this is what we're going to pick.
This is what they'll probably ban, yeah.
Let's just pick something. Let's just pick our comp.
Yeah.
You know, let's at least start to. But it's a Fernando first, so, I mean, that's fine.
I don't mind that so
yeah,
much.
it's not anything that says, this is what we're going to do by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not anything that's like, oh, wait, really?
It's a veritable ruckus when Ruckus isn't around, because I think Ruckus, you pick him and you're like, all right, where's this comp going? You know it's probably a double tank, but you don't really know much around that. What are they augmenting this with? Fernando, now he's the same question, but he could be single tank, he could be a double tank. A lot of flexibility in the draft, especially on Jaguar Falls. This is a much closer map. Different champions may show up here, but Inara definitely a fan favorite for Fnatic.
Yeah, and then Drogos as well. You know, as I'm sitting and thinking, I would almost like to see G2 say, all right, we're picking a frontliner. Wardoom, pick whatever you want.
Right.
Just pick something that you want to play.
You feel good on.
Yes, because then you can at least, you know, feel comfortable individually. Maybe something can start to synergize with people. Right now I'm looking at Andro possibly coming up. Leader bodies, play Andro again. Just get in there and play Andro. Do your thing. You know, I don't know. I think that's the way that they might need to just kind of change things up. Because if you're sitting there and you're over-analyzing, all right, well, we picked this instead of that, we picked this instead of that. Just play what you want to play at this point in time. See what happens.
Yeah, get it. Androxus out there. Exactly. I hear what you're saying. Genos, Cassie. I mean, these are good picks. Like, you feel confident. I think if you're going into ranked, you're like, all right, we got what we need. Fnatic as well saying, all right, we feel pretty good about this, but in no way, shape, or form are you saying Inara and Drogos are unbeatable with what we have. Now Fnatic rounding this out. The Pip has been really the nail in the coffin for everybody else, because as Bittner and Fasheko have been playing it so well, it's doing more than it should for a fourth pick.
yeah, that's actually very true. But it will be Xin Maldamba instead. And then you look back over to G2. Do you pick up the Pip here? Do you just kind of feel that extra bit of pressure?
I'd like to see it.
I would too.
You got Genos. You can go Catalyst.
Absolutely.
And you could even run a Mega Push if you feel more comfortable that way. Put bodies on the Genos, give them a little bit more freedom to roam. I mean, it's a little different, but I don't know, man. I think Cuss has been in these backseat roles. He's getting frustrated. We can tell. We're hearing little sound bites here and there.
Yep.
And part of it is like, man, Bittner, everyone's styling on him on his favorite champion, the one he plays all the time. It hasn't played at all this set.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy to think about it that way. Okay, this is a little different. And that's very different.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Well, now I wonder, I mean, who's on that barrack? That might even be Wardoom, and you have Dosips flexing onto the Fernando.
Yeah.
Evil Eye on the Buck, bodies, or vice versa on the Cassie.
It's one of the, some kind of combination of that. It's just, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. And then, sure, why not? You're going to give it to us. Why not keep Pip on Fnatic's? Okay, you know,
all right.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
It's totally different
Let's keep
direction.
Our hands off.
Yeah. God knows our hands-on have not made any difference in this set whatsoever. So we're going to take our hands off here. We're going to allow this. We're going to enjoy the match just like you guys and see what happens in game number 4. Fnatic could become your PPL Spring Champions with a win.
He's not lying. We are one game away from potentially Fnatic claiming that title, but G2, they have a long road ahead if they want to try and swipe that away.
And it's not just one. Like, you have to fight 4 battles, essentially, and even if you can win the first one, it's the question of whether or not that is going to be enough momentum to be like, okay, 2, now 3, now 4, or if it'd be like 1, and then full stop 1, full stop 1. Like, they need something to carry on.
Fnatic's just shown so much strength in their play, though, and we've been saying for a while we need them to show up at LAN in the way that they do in the regular season. They've been getting second so much, and this is make or break for them. And here they are, I think, clearly taking to heart their past performances.
Coming into this one, it's going to be interesting because they've kind of shaken things up a little bit. Fasheko going off of what was blasting people away with the Bomb King and now going to be blasting people away with Drogos. But with everything that's been going, I mean, he has been phenomenal. They have Yomi. They have so much damage on the side of Fnatic. G2, though, kind of shaking things up a little bit. I'm excited to see what exactly they're pulling out because they're up against the wall.
Oh, yeah, and Drop Bodies is on the Cassie this time. Dosep's going back over to the front line as they do have double front line here. Wardoom with his bone ball and everything on this barrack.
not quite as high as we've seen it in some of the other loadouts,
Only a
but
couple.
still going to be present. Not focusing as much on the shields and the dashing, but more on his turrets, trying to stay alive. Going around the side's going to be Evil Eye. Not a huge impact so far. First Blood ends up going over to Bugsy.
Taking down bodies and Bittner to follow up on Cuskewty, 27% and climbing after taking down 4 of the member of G2. About to be 5. If they can go ahead and get that last hit, and there you have it, friends. Fnatic as strong as ever.
Being able to push him back, hold him back. Barrick lying dead on the ground. Complete control right now, 75, 78, continuing to tick up. Every single person getting dismounted the minute they show up on G2. And you might be able to see Dose-Ups, you might be able to see him come in, but they just get locked out.
And there's 0 to 100. Fish Echo picking up a kill onto iDrop Bodies. And anyone who tuned in when we were in Las Vegas saw how upset Fish Echo was at the end of that match. And right here, despite falling to Evil Eye in those last moments, he has been having some very consistently strong play throughout the day.
And with the way things are, I mean, that is exactly what has made the difference. It was one of the things that Fish Echo, during those finals in Vegas, was notably, I mean, Nick, to quote him, was doo-doo. It just did not play anywhere near as well.
He's the only one that can say that, and everyone's
expected.
like, okay.
And it's just in that area where once he picks it up and once things go this way, especially with an Evil Mojo like that, can you follow up and find the kill?
No.
Not quite, but you're still locking him down in a corner.
Great movement around that column, so Dose-Ups was able to keep himself alive. Nobody down and out at this moment, and G2 Esports grouped up nicely to try and hold on the next choke. But Fish Echo taking a bit of damage, nice healing from his buddy, but still has to back off for the time being.
I like the presence and the knowledge that Fish Echo has, knowing exactly where he needs to aim. Throws the Dragon Spit up, throws the Rocket down just to make sure he's covering all of his options in case he needs to be able to get someone. No connections on the damage as Fnatic kind of slowed down a little bit. 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, though, and they're sitting at about 60% of the push, still moving forward, still pressuring G2 slowly but surely back into the base.
Oh, and Thiel here back on the Inara ends up taken down by Buck, but nonetheless was applying the pressure to the enemy Nando. And Bodies to follow up, so G2 finally getting a little bit of momentum under them, a full minute to spare on this push, but starting to actually push back.
This is what they really need. Get rid of Bugsy, get rid of Jera, no healer, and no one really from Fnatic right in front of them to do any sort of pressure, any kind of hold back for Fnatic to be able to follow up. This is where G2 can either get aggressive and try to hold a more aggressive defensive line and just hope for the best, or they can hold back right around here. It's a good spot, nice open field, good vision, specifically for drop bodies who can find some solid shots.
Pretty been there at the top of the charts as well, looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. But G2 Sports in the final 25 seconds of the potential defense before overtime. But Fnatic, I think they're about to get aggressive. You see Thiel right on top of the objective, taking a lot of damage right onto Dose-Ups, forced out the Immortal, but the Dragon Punch getting rounded on up, looking for a target right onto the bear, but he's juking it for just a little bit of time. Bittner picks one up onto Dose-Ups, and Cassie, what a pretty lady she is, but she can't hold it down all by her lonesome, so Fnatic go ahead and push this through for point number 2.
And just walk it on in. 4 kills, again, just within seconds of each other. You know the call is focused separately. And with the way Bittner's been playing this Pip, they don't have too much to worry about. I mean, his blaster play between him and having Drogos, there's no one who has been able to contest them. When Cassie looks at Drogos, then you have a Pip come up on the side, blow you up, and just get rid of you, knock you off the map somehow. And it just has not been looking like a rallying cry from G2.
I think the way that Pip and Drogos are played has to require a lot of fluidity, right? If you're looking at Fish Echo on the Drogos, where you throw out things like Dragon Spin, and you have to make sure that you're actually activating it within the proper time, moving in and out at the subtle speed. With Pip, you've got the weightless that gives you a lot of mobility across the map, but you need to be very aware of exactly how far you can jump and everything, and both of them have such clear control.
And they are kind of the shining stars. Everyone's looking over there. Bugsy's just been able to kind of walk around, go behind, get a lot of free damage. And once he gets started, I mean, that sets up everyone else for kills, either himself or Fish Echo. But finally being able to get one, Buck Wild coming through, but not quite finding anything else just yet.
Now actually going and turning his way to Thiel, who has the seismic crash, is lined on up. Bittner picks one up onto Dose-Ups, but here's the spite onto Bodies. Finally gets the kill. So that's 2 down for G2 Esports, and Bittner making his rotation around.
And Thiel's right back to full health, ready to keep going, keep standing on this point, moving forward with his team as they have control. 36%, even though with the comeback mechanic, 23 grab for G2. They are just getting taken down. Cuss, the next one on the list.
And no one is able to stop Bittner at the time being. Gets chunked down pretty low, but luckily has some healing on the wayside. Once again, Dose-Ups is actually getting pretty targeted at this moment. Fisheko, a nice blast to eliminate.
Just get through that shield. Once it's gone, it's going to be easy pickings. Nice trying to keep Thiel alive, standing on the point, 99%, trying to lock him out. Buck jumps in. Buck's about to go back down.
And he goes down indeed, tried to get to the objective, but Bugsy picks one up as well. And with that coordinated effort from Fnatic, despite all the aggression from G2 Esports, they capture their 3rd point, and they're 1 point away from becoming the champs.
And immediately aggression, get in their face, lock them back, keep G2 from stalling this payload, and get it as much room to move forward as you can. 3-0, if they can find this, they'll get not only 4-0 on the map, but the 4-0 for the set.
And Bugsy on this 8 streak, you gotta give it to him. He's been playing whatever the team needs, whatever draft they put forward. If it's a front line, if it's a flank, if it's a sniper, he's right there and ready to take the control and provide that effort needed from the team to hold as strongly as they are. And Fisheko just keeps blasting on down this Nando.
Evil Eye finally able to take him down, but he's left alone, actually boxing back there with Thiel. Thiel comes out on top now. He's going to be making his way back into this Jera, just kind of sitting on the side, keeping everyone healed up, but ready to go. They have a Dread Serpent, Evil Mojo, Seismic Crash, anything you want, you name it, they are ready to close this out when need be.
Look how far to the opposite side Thiel is, right into the midst of G2, while everyone from Fnatic throwing to the wayside. There's actually a Dread Serpent to start this activation. Bittner picks one up onto Dosubs, but Evil Eye throws it back onto Jera. It's a 2-for-2 trade so far. Fisheko taking down Wardoom, but the battle is still going strong.
A couple more slices. Bugsy going to be able to find 2. Looking for one more. Misses the spite, though. Cuss going to be able to stay alive. Still mounted. Counter not going to do enough. Bugsy goes down. Fnatic falls back, and they have to regroup if they want to get back in here. 57 seconds left. And they're all sitting, laying in wait right around this corner.
That was so bloody for there to be a whole minute to be lasted on this push right afterwards. I mean, everyone was throwing in all of their resources. Fnatic saw an opportunity to potentially close, while G2, they do not want to be out of this fight. And here you go, Bittner, he's back at it. There's the Evil Mojo. Can he follow up on it? Nice heal onto his actual teammates, but he ends up getting taken down by Dosubs.
Immortal keeping things rolling for the side of G2. They find 2 kills. They once again stall Fnatic. Jera's low, Jera's dead, and you can see Bugsy running away. The rest of his team ends up falling down. Evil Eye leading the way for G2. 15 seconds left. This could be the hold G2 needed.
What a great play from Evil Eye, getting that double kill and now trying to lock down on Bugsy. Still has his own level of sustain and might get caught out here in all honesty, and he does by Bugsy. But look how much time he has just bought. Overtime will set in as Fnatic attempt to get this closeout with no ultimates available to them.
And being able to use Swift Spirits, get them back there a little bit quicker. Fnatic now around the payload, overtime being held. All they need is a couple of kills, and they've already recharged a lot of those ults they used earlier. Through time and space comes flying through, not going to connect, but Evil Eye starts it off, gets rid of Fisheko.
Used immediately after the cooldown, but Bittner throws it back onto Dosubs. Overtime still going strong, and you see that Thiel, he is locking and loading across that 50% on his HP all the way back up to the top, taking down frontliner. There's a Dread Serpent from Jera himself, gets the kill onto Evil Eye, and Bugsy with the follow-up. So Fnatic 4-0ing in the finals to become your PPL champions.
Walk it on in, a little bit harder than just that, but they finally get there and prove themselves not only undefeated there, even that loss in Vegas wasn't enough to demoralize them as they come here and bring themselves back to the top.
The way that they were playing, you would think that they've won LAN after LAN, but that isn't something that anyone has really been able to do within Paladins, just go and dominate each locale.
I mean, it's just been rough for them. Specifically for Fnatic, just every time favored. Hey, look, you're looking incredible. You're coming out #1 seed and then taken down out of LAN. Then taken down out of LAN. #2 a lot of the times for the past couple, and it's just, you can go undefeated and not quite hit it. Finally now, being able to go up there. Fisheko with a phenomenal performance. The rest of the team standing right by his side. I mean, Bugsy during that last game created so much space for them.
I need to know if Cuss actually made those water bottles into the basket. That's what I need to know there in the end. Still looking for some kind of victory. Yeah, I need the replay on that one, everybody. But the thing is, this is the PPL finals today, and there's a Masters LAN following up within the next 4 days. So they are separated, and having the momentum from this victory to actually go through in the rest is something that Fnatic can hold to their advantage.
And just looking as dominant as they did there. I mean, look at the sets before. Na'Vi was relatively close to dethroning Fnatic there. G2 didn't quite cut the same mark, and Envy in the same position, whether or not they could have is really up in the air. So going into the future, looking at how these teams are going to match up against some of the PGS teams that they're going to have to face is really going to be just questionable.
Well, major props to G2 for holding it down for North America, and then Fnatic for getting that victory and title for the PPL. Let's throw it back over to the desk.
Thanks, Gabby. Thanks, Score. Congratulations to Fnatic. A great performance. You can't take anything away from these guys. They come out swinging, and they clearly were the best team today.
By and far.
By and far.
I mean, the set versus Na'Vi was really, really good. And I think you saw those moments where Fnatic just took what they had in those 4-0s versus Na'Vi and they just copy and pasted it here. I mean, this was probably one of the more lopsided finals we've ever seen. But I think a lot of that just goes to show that Fnatic is here. They're in a patch that they have been dominant in for the last 6, now 7 weeks upcoming. And honestly, as you look forward into the next 4 days, it's going to be hard to not pick them as the favorite to continue that momentum.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and this is great. I think it was good for G2 if they really have an idea about trying to win this Masters land, because sometimes you have to go down before you can come right back up. You need to see what you've done wrong, what's not working, to realize, okay, who are we? What's the essence of who we are? Bugsy really, I felt, clicked today. He clicked with his team. He was doing a lot. He started one game with Barrick. Didn't work out, and then he was never on Barrick again. He did so much, I guess, shifting in terms of his mentality for what he's doing for this Fnatic team, and it played off.
Yeah, I can get behind him in his shifting for sure.
Yeah.
Every time he's played Zen so far today, he's just been slapping the base. I mean, he's been slapping people left and right. And again, we were talking about it in his set versus Na'Vi. He had so much room that he was creating himself. It wasn't like, okay, Thiel is doing his thing and everyone's focused on Thiel. No, it was like Bugsy's just going to say, I'm whirling through and you're going to have to deal with me, or you're all dead.
I know. Great cooldown usage. I mean, he played that champion perfectly. His Shaolin was really causing problems. And again, when he has that type of flexibility offensively, and you look at them and you say, Bugsy definitely geared towards more of an offensive player rather than a tank player. Despite being able to play it all, you definitely look at him as a guy who wants to be in the playmaking seat. He took that upon himself, and it worked out for Fnatic. So congratulations. I mean, it's just a long time coming for these guys. Finally
absolutely.
getting some silverware today. It's got to just be a relief. It's got to feel like, oh, God, okay, we are the best, like we thought.
And it's not even just, Bugsy was by far one of the standouts because of his ability to make those plays. But you can't look at any of them and say that they all don't deserve the similar credits.
They all played amazing.
Incredible. I mean, Fish was great. Bittner was great. Thiel was great. I mean, Gara was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane to see when a team comes in. It's like how Envy was at the last day of Vegas. They came in, everyone was playing at the most elevated we've ever seen them.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you're going to win championships.
And that's what I love about, sports and competition is that you could take the same team on a different day. They won't play half as good, or maybe they'll play twice as good. But it sometimes just depends on what you got cooking for breakfast that morning. What do you got going on the night before to get your head right for this moment? And Fnatic, they were not letting anything in the world stop them from taking the championship today. They are your spring champions for Paladins Season 2, but we've still got so much more to come. Let's check in with Fnatic and see how they're feeling processing this first win.
They're going to ask us 3, 2, 1.
Well, guys, congratulations for your victory. You're PPL champions. That was an awesome performance. So, first of all, going into it, did you think it would be as dominating a 4-0 as it was?
Finals?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of confidence behind that. But I also want to know about just the way that you were playing those champions, particularly Blasters, having the Drogos and the Pip. Was that a key strategy in prepping for this tournament?
Mostly, yeah. Well, high burst damage was the strategy. And both champions do that, so.
And they both have instant nukes for point fights. Like Pip has chickens and Drogos has his Dragon Punch.
And, I mean, just following up on Blasters, Fisheko, I mean, you're bomb king throughout all of that set when you were playing it. I mean, it was something that you were distracting, you were killing them. Was that something that you had kind of prepared, or was just in the heat of the moment, like, give me the bomb king?
No, I had to compensate for the Vegas LAN, where I actually suicided 10 times in a row with Bomb King, so I had to do something this tournament.
Not the play. That's not what the kids at home should be doing?
No.
No, okay. So, I mean, definitely a good bounce-back land for you, Fisheko. You seem very upset with your performance at Vegas.
It was terrible.
Talk us through sort of how do you guys bounce back from that? Was it the veterans on your team? Did they kind of say, it happens? What was the mentality? What was the team atmosphere like after that loss in Las Vegas?
Meh, I guess. It wasn't that good because we knew we should have won. But, yeah, we just grinded a lot. Fixed our drafts mostly because EV doesn't work on LAN. And our drafts were mostly with flankers.
Right. So Bittner, this is your second time winning the PPL. How does it feel to go back-to-back, at least in first place?
I mean, it feels really good.
Yeah, finally breaking that second place curse. How does it feel now going forward? Do you feel like you have a weight off your shoulders for the Masters LAN, and does that make it almost easier to play that LAN knowing you've already got one win under your belt and you can kind of walk away happy? Or are you trying to win both?
I need to win both. Yeah.
All right, well, last question, because this was the PPL finals, but you have a whole Masters LAN ahead. So starting with Fisheko and then over to Bittner, do you feel that this momentum is going to help you for a second victory within the same weekend?
I don't know. I hope so, but I don't think we just need to play this how we play usually, and I think we got this. I'm interested in what the Latin boys got, Burrito and what was the other team? Yeah, Space Station. I think they might bring something interesting to the Masters.
Bittner?
Yeah, I think the momentum from today really helps.
All right, well, congratulations once again for your victory, and we'll see you throughout the weekend.
Thank you.
Let it be known I'm giving all willing participants interview practice. I'm giving you coaching for free on how to answer a question with more than one word. I'm offering that up.
Can I take you up on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You could be my,
we'll test trial this.
I'll charge a baked barbecue bag of Lay's if you guys want it, or even baked like sour cream and onion Lay's.
Those are free
I've got plenty of those, so that's what I'll charge for you guys. Let it be known from the heavens above that HRX is coming to the table November 16th, 17th, and 18th. And like I like to mention, we've got a big show you can go to after our show. Drake's coming to town, so you can go and party with us, play a little games, then go ahead finish the party over at the concert.
God's plan.
That's God's plan. Come on now. We got a great show coming up. Masters LAN is on the horizon tomorrow. Do not miss it. Starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time all week. We'll be going until Sunday. You guys want to be there. It's I Hold Shift. It's Evan Rayner, Rain Day. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, never give up, never stop gaming. We'll see y'all in the realm.